All right, legends. So the price of Bitcoin is grinding pretty strongly to the upside. Are we going to explode out, head to $90,000, $95,000 in the coming days? Or are we ready for a decent correction or a move to the downside, right? Because we are breaking the lower high resistance trend line from all-time high, right? We are kind of breaking out from these lower highs. We did have an attempt here on the 2nd, 3rd of April where it was a fake out. We came back down to the lows. Is this it, right? Are we going to break out? Where it's very important to understand the local structure, because I don't see a major pattern that is actually giving me the hope, right, of the technical analysis that we are going to shoot up from here without some kind of a decent correction to the downside. Whether it's going to be corrective or impulsive, we head back down to $74,000, or are we just going to rock it from here, slowly grind, and we're just going to get a massive pump here throughout the next coming days? Well, we need to understand the lower time frames, guys, which we are going to do in this episode. A quick reminder right now, Weeks has a great bonus, okay? They did change the 50% deposit bonus. Now, right now, they do have the 20% deposit bonus. However, they've increased, all right, the reward, right, when you do deposit $10,000 and you do transfer that $10,000, you know, the maximum bonus is $2,000. You need to have it on your futures account for 3 days, and then you'll be getting that airdrop, okay, of $2,000. You deposit $5,000, you're going to get $1,000, guys. Take advantage of this deposit bonus. You do have 25% fee reduction as well on the second link down below in the description. If you wish, you can sign up just with an email and a password as well, guys. Just sign up with an email and a password. Start trading right away with that 25% fee reduction. So yeah, let's dive in right away through the price of Bitcoin, because we're breaking out the lower high resistance trend line, right? You can arguably discuss we are breaking out here throughout the weekend, slowly grinding to the upside. But the lower time frame is what is important, okay? Zooming in on the lower time frame, how are we coming up to this region of $85,000, $86,000 range? A zone that we were kind of expecting to get up, all right? When we do take a look here at Friday stream, the overall idea was high probability that we do head up above $84,000 and $85,000, sweep up the lower highs, come up to the daily, 7/8 Fibonacci from the high to the low, and start finding resistance right there. Form a 5-wave structure, ascending contracting move was the highest probability. Now, of course, this is a bit of a wedgie pattern, right? It is a wedgie pattern. When you do take a look at this movement to the upside, right? This is, kind of expecting to sweep up the lower highs, hit the 7/8 Fibonacci, also the daily throughout the weekend, and we are finding some of a resistance, some kind of resistance here at the 7/8 Fib. Now, when we do zoom on the lower time frames, you're like, wow, this is actually a very difficult short position to get into, right? 7/8 was hit right over here. We did come back up. Is this a good double top scenario? Well, there's even a little bit of a better short position here, right? When you do understand the price action, when you do see this price action, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, you can see how this movement down was the one that broke the last higher low, meaning that you do have a confirmed lower low, and this is a possible confirmation for a lower high, right? The golden pocket range, right? 50% to the 7/8 Fibonacci from the high to the low is where you're interested for that short position, right? 50% to 7/8 as you do break the structure. This reminds me very much at the price action from 2021, right? I'm just going to zoom out here just to show you the price action of 2021, how you can identify very easily, right? It's just price action structure where you have the highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, confirmed lower low as you do get beneath the last higher low. That's where you expect a lower high to be formed. This is exactly the area where I exited 25% of my entire portfolio except for Chainlink, right? Sold Bitcoin, Ethereum, VeChain, and many other altcoins that I had in this region of April, May of 2021, based on this structure. So when we do zoom in here on the lower time frames, we can see that it's very, very similar, kind of a little lower time frame distribution pattern where you break the structure and now you're basically correcting, at least down to the lows. Is this a higher low? We are uptrending, right? Stop trying to be smart and detecting the top, right? We were expecting these highs to be taken, right? We had the liquidity at $85,000, right? There's hundreds of millions of short liquidations. We mentioned this on Friday. And the overall idea of getting up there was basically, explained on the stream. I would have liked a little bit of a pullback on lower time frames, but heading up north was the overall idea to get to $84,000, $85,000. We even scratched $86,000. Right now, this is what we got, right? Now, the extreme bullish case scenario would be a 1-2-1-2, right? We are on the formation of the third wave. Why is this unlikely? The main reason this is unlikely is because you formed a three-wave structure in your first wave. So the kind of only massive bullish case scenario that I can read on the chart is an ascending contracting diagonal, which is a three-wave, 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 and now you need to detect a kind of a three-wave structure here. Lots of waves, microwaves here. You can come with many different ideas. Very choppy, okay, not easy to count, but you could say that this is 1, 2, 3, a flat in 4 and a 5. You got your A wave, you got your zigzaggy move here, right, in your B wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And your fifth wave's forming a little bit of a contracting or expanding move. You do have 5 waves here. So was this it, right? Where you have your A wave, your B wave, and your C wave, right? Smaller C wave than A wave, not too common, but regardless, this is really the zone that should be kind of topping out to get that larger pullback, right? Either an ABC or a, larger pullback throughout the next coming days. So the 1-1-2 is not a scenario that I'm looking at, right? This is kind of one of the only scenarios that we have right now on the development. So if we do break up from here, I would be actually quite surprised based on this price action. If we were to shoot up to $90,000, $92,000 in the next, few days entering into this week, I kind of see this as the ultimate topping zone and getting a bit of a pullback scenario, getting to 82, 80,000, even probably hitting below $80,000 in the coming days. So overall, that is the idea here. Looking at the price action, we've swept the liquidity. We have an ascending contracting move. An extreme bullish case scenario here, in my opinion, with the analysis is kind of not a high probability, right? Not high probability when we do zoom in on the time frames here. It doesn't look like that a 1-1-2 is possible based on this three-wave structure. This also counts better as a three-wave move. So you need to come to that conclusion that whatever's happening here is either A, B, C, or it's a double zigzag as well, where you have a zigzag right over here. You do have your flat in your X, and then you have another zigzag formation right there. Ultimately looking at the price to really kind of top out in this region, at least for the coming days. When we do zoom in on the lower time frame, what we can see is the movement down after breaking this structure. This is also very interesting. Now, eventually a bounce here to the upside is kind of expected. I'm very in doubt if this bounce is actually going to take out the highs again, right? We are uptrending, so the overall idea is, can the trend continue to the upside? Trend is your friend. But when I do take a look at the highs from here and the break of structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You got basically higher highs and higher lows. Confirmation, lower low, right? From the last lower high, a lower high right there. And from the highs to the lows, I'm interested on how the price action has developed, right? When I do take a look at the price action, how it developed from the highs at $86,000, we got the first move down, move up, move down, little sideways move slightly to the upside, and another wave to the downside, taking out the lows. What I do see here is a descending contracting move in a 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is either an A wave or a first wave. This for me is better counted as an A wave or a first wave. And now we're in the development of the B wave or the second wave. Of course, if it were to be a second wave, preferably you do top out at the 50% to the 7/8 Fibonacci zone, right? In between this area of 85,100 to 85,600, would be your ideal target for this to top out and then start rolling down, whether it's a B wave or a second wave. This is the zone of interest. Of course, a B wave can be very confusing. You could take out the highs and then come down. You know, you can form an ABC expanding flat kind of scenario. This is also very, very possible, but it does look very interesting for a lower high formation in this zone. So, you know, A wave, B, C, or at 1, 2, and 3 down, we start getting aggressive entering into Monday, right, to the downside, possibly forming a 3 wave or a C wave. We're just going to have to see the development. But overall, the first push to the downside does look like a descending contracting move, right? Because we do have the highs, and you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks very interesting for this bounce to really not find too much steam to take out 86,100, right? We do have bearish CVD divergence as well, which is looking pretty damn interesting, right? You got the lower highs of the price action from the wick here that we formed early this morning, and you do have already higher highs on the CVD. You're starting to form higher highs, so looking relatively interesting here for that lower high and get a move to the downside, right? I would arguably discuss that, yeah, you know, you have finished your 5th wave to the upside, right? You probably have finished the 5th wave to the upside that we were talking about here throughout Friday, right? Claim $85,000 plus, start getting the resistance in that region, right? Something that is looking very interesting here, looking at the lower time frame, is, you know, that we are higher time frame, that we are above the point of control, right? Point of control of the entire range is sitting at $83,000. You know, we are above that level, so that kind of gives, you know, a little bit of, it's a kind of a sign of strength, right? We are above major resistance that could be flipping into support. We did flip that into support just a few days ago, as you can see here. We did have the highs. We did break out, kind of held that support, you know, and continue to the upside here throughout the weekend. But, you know, looking at the price action, guys, a pullback does look the highest probability right now, looking at the overall structure, okay? So anybody that is in long positions, I would really say that this is not a bad take profit zone. Wherever you've been long in here throughout the last few days on higher lows, you know, this is a region, eventually the highs must be it is a must of take profit. But it does look like the price is getting exhausted right now throughout the weekend. So stay cautious. You know, this is not a zone to get into swing long positions. It's actually been more interested in looking for shorts, right, for that pullback down in an ABC, right? Get an ABC kind of move, or a 1, 2, 3, right? And then 4, 5 eventually, right? The things are going to get more bearish than we expect. Stay cautious with your trading. I will be extremely surprised if the price does manage to break out, right, heading to 88, you know, $90,000, right, between today and tomorrow. So overall, this does look like a very topping zone, and I think, you know, a pullback in the next coming days is due, guys, and we will have to analyze very carefully that pullback to see if it is going to be a bullish case scenario, right, and form a higher low somewhere in between $82,000 and $78,000, right? Most commonly would be in this zone, or we actually going to be breaking down, right? This is actually quite bullish on the higher time frame. On higher time frame, we are expecting all of this formation on the you know, from the downtrend of all-time high to actually be a reversal kind of formation, right? This does not look impulsive. You know, it's either we finished either a move in, you know, in a contracting move right there. We're going to get a reversal. We are still in development of the contracting move. We've got one more wave to the downside. We finished a WXY, X being the triangle. We got a shallow zigzag, you know, very, very shallow zigzag here compared to your larger zigzag right there. Many of the scenarios, you know, point out that this is an ending structure, right? We also have the ABC here, expanding move, B wave right there, and then another contracting move on your C wave. All of the scenarios do point out for a reversal, right? Some kind of a reversal, and that you are forming a bottom formation. This does not look impulsive. The question is, will we claim the low again or not? Or will we form a higher low on the corrective move and then head up here north, right, to 90K, $95,000 plus, right? The overall idea is that we are looking for a reversal with this price action, as it does look more corrective or ending structure. I mean, the most bearish case scenarios are the contracting moves, where the bounce is going to be forming a lower high formation and then start rolling down in the next coming months. But overall the reversal is highly likely here, looking at this price action. Guys, not much here to update. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next one.